Hi there, I'm Joe Dudek, president and founder of Keyhole Marketing.
And I'm Shannon Jarek. I work for Keyhole as the assistant brand manager.
And this is Metaphorically Speaking, a podcast that explores the mysterious side of marketing.
Well, welcome to Metaphorically Speaking. We are bringing the energy today. Joe, we had a lot of fun talking with Gayla Bustos and Brittany Winn, who are two local real estate agents to the Colorado Springs area, but they are more fondly referred to as the Property Mommies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was definitely like another level of energy on this episode. It was so great to hear Gayla and Britt and get to kind of know their personalities. It's always fun through podcasts to be able to really feel like you can pick up on their energy even through a digital media like this. And it was cool to just kind of see how they pair up with each other. You've got Gayla, who's just on another level of energy, and you have Britt, who's much more reserved. And I think that's probably a great combination in their world, and they just really help each other out in selling homes and connecting with the community.
Absolutely. And I love they shared their real estate story with us. But I think what I really took away from this episode that I appreciated was just their vulnerability and kind of their home lives. Both of these women are military wives and mothers. And so a huge part of their identity is rooted in that. And I was just so grateful for how they kind of opened up to us about that. And, you know, their brand Property Mommies is just them being proud of being mothers, being working mothers, and being mothers of military families as well.
Yeah, the whole military community is so new to me, just moving out here a couple of years ago, and it's like nothing I've experienced in any place we've lived, but it's really unique here. And they, as military spouses, have lived that life. They know the ups and downs, that it's very unique to that arena. And I think like they're able to really connect with other people in this area on another level because they're not just talking about military lifestyle. They've lived it. They've lived in different areas of the country, and they know the unknowns that comes with that whole setup. So it's cool to hear that part. Like you said, it was so cool to hear that part of the story and see how they're able to connect with the families like that around here.
So not only are they real estate stars by day, but they are mothers and TikTok stars by night.
Yeah, that's how I first saw them on social media. Was they were putting out these TikTok videos, and I was like, I've never known any real estate agent to ever send me a TikTok video. And I definitely wish they were our agents when we first moved here, because we would have probably had a much better experience than we had. But it's definitely unique to their brand. It certainly fits well with who they are. And I think it sets a good, just gets you prepared for who you're going to be working with if you sign up to work with them. So definitely a great medium for them. They tried to talk me into it. I'm not quite there yet, but
maybe you should never be there. I don't know.
Wow. The millennial telling me not to enter that space.
Just picturing you trying to do all the, dances and all is a little bit uncomfortable, but
this is true.
You do you, I guess.
Okay. That's a good tip.
So Gayla and Brittany, thank you again for just your vulnerability, sharing your story and experience with us. And we really hope you all enjoy listening to this episode.
Well, thanks so much again for joining us today, Gayla and Britt. Thanks for making the time. I know your schedules are extremely busy as real estate agents to find some time, and I just thank you so much for taking the time today.
We are so honored to be here. You have no idea.
That's awesome. So maybe just give us a sense of like your own personal stories, your own origin stories. Where were you born? You don't have to say when were you born, but maybe what generation do you fall into? Where did you grow up? That sort of thing. Gayla, why don't you start us off?
Okay, great. So obviously my name is Gayla Bustos. I am originally from Reno, Nevada. My husband was Army for 10 years. So we went from Reno to Hawaii for 5 years, where I ran a military gym, and then we got PCS'd here. I think almost 8-9 years ago, which is crazy to think. And I ran a gym here and then decided to get into real estate, where I met Britt.
Awesome. Well, you definitely streamlined the story there. We'll probably dive into that a little bit more. How about growing up? Did you have any siblings? Did you move around a lot? Did you kind of stay in Reno the whole time, or?
Yeah, so I actually lived in the same house my whole life.
Oh, wow.
My parents bought it in December of, I'm going to age myself, December of 88, or sorry, December of 87. I was born January 12th, 1988, and they still live in that house to this day.
Nice.
Yeah.
Leave it to the real estate agent to know like when they bought it and how long you've been in that
Exactly.
house.
Well, I always count that. I'm always like, aren't you guys tired of this house? Like and my parents just will not move from it. And I'm like, I can help you. Like I can get you in contact. It's just a big mess.
Yeah, for sure. My parents just moved out of their house after 20 some years. It was the second house I grew up in, but it was a good time to do it this year. But yeah, it was a lot to make the shift from a place you've had your roots planted for 20 plus years, for sure. How about you, Britt?
So I'm actually a native.
Okay.
I grew up in the Whitefield security area. I graduated from Whitefield High School. My husband and I met when we were in high school. He went to Mesa Ridge. I went to Whitefield. So we're high school sweethearts. My mom even grew up here. She graduated from Whitefield as well as all of my aunts and uncles.
Awesome.
Yes. So I have two girls, Amaya and Kai, and they are almost 9. Amaya turns 9 tomorrow, and Kailana is 7.
Perfect. Gayla, how about you on your current family setup as far as kids?
Yeah, so same with my husband. My husband and I met in high school. We're high school sweethearts as well.
Oh, wow.
Been married for 14 years, together for 15, 16 years. We have 2 boys. So Brittany and I are complete opposite. She's tall, blonde. I'm short, brunette. She has girls. I have boys. I have a 13-year-old, Cash. And then we have a 9-year-old boy as well, and his name is Dante, and he is my little hustler, I always call him. Right now he's slinging Pokemon cards and making like $37 a day slinging them, and I'm just like, hell yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, he should meet my son, how old is he again?
He's 9.
Okay, mine's 7. He's just getting into the game, I guess, so maybe he has a few things to learn for sure.
Yeah.
What do you recall about your childhoods? Any fond memories that come to mind? I don't know, were they overall fairly easy, light? Was it a tough childhood? I mean, what comes to mind when you think about that?
So this is Gayla, and I always make fun of my childhood. My parents, so English was their second language. So I do say things wrong all the time because when my parents told me stuff, it was lost in translation. So I always have to ask Britt or my husband, like, oh, am I saying this right? Or my husband will take me to the side like, don't say that ever again. Like, you can't say that. My mom knows this, so it's not like a big shock, but we used to call her Mommy Dearest. I don't know if you ever saw that movie. And it's funny now. Okay, so it's about this, it's a true story. Watch it on your own time. Okay. The mom is kind of crazy. And so it was a great childhood. I did so much stuff, but we obviously had to deal with her crazy mom. And the way my sister and I got around it was we would laugh and make fun of everyone, and always just figure out a way to have a good time, because when you have she's not so crazy anymore now that she's like older and wiser, but when you live with a crazy mom, like you have to figure out some way to find joy.
For sure. Yeah. What was your birth order? Were you oldest or youngest?
I'm the youngest.
Oh, okay.
I'm the baby. So I actually got, out of my sister and I was probably the favorite. So like I was able to I figured out a way to always outsmart my parents. Because maybe, I don't know if it was because the English was their second language or what, but I was always like, well, I was like my youngest son. Like he's always negotiating with us.
Oh, yeah.
And I would always negotiate with my parents.
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, I definitely experienced that with our son as well. I always know that the first response is just the first offer back to him. There's going to be 3 or 4 more things that he's going to throw at me. And
Right.
it's going to be, thanks, Dad. That's a good counter. Let's go ahead and let's have this conversation. You're like, what am I doing? It's a 7-year-old.
Yeah, especially like bedtime. They're like, how about
Oh,
I go lay down, but I watch TV and I play with my Pokemon cards? And I'm
yeah.
like, how about you just go to bed? And he's like,
Yeah.
wait a second. How about I just watch TV in my desk at my, blah, blah, blah. And you're just like, no, I'm the parent. Go to bed.
Yeah. He starts off at the top level. So he has room to negotiate down for sure.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. Yeah, and I can relate to of like the crazy mom, and I was the youngest of 8 total, but in our house we had
Oh my
6,
goodness.
or we had 4, sorry. And then there were 4 from my dad's first marriage. But as the baby of all of them, you just end up being the jokester, and that's the way you sort of make light of all the craziness around you and try to make sense of all the madness of the house. But that was my role for sure. um, how about you, Britt? How about any memories that come to your mind?
So I'm actually the oldest of
Hmm.
4.
You really are the opposite of
Yes.
Gayla.
I told you.
Yeah.
Yeah, we always say that like plays a role in like her and my relationship as well because I was the oldest, she was the youngest. My dad worked for CSPD my whole life. He still works for CSPD, so he was always gone. He worked nights, he slept during the day. My mom worked from home. She did daycare. So we're a really, really close family. We got to stay home with my mom every summer. My mom is probably the most caring person in the entire world, and like not just with people, but with animals as well. So she's definitely passed both of those. The animal thing definitely with me. Like growing up, we always had like 4 dogs and 2 cats and fish and everything. And at my house, we have 4 dogs and a cat and chickens and ducks and you name it.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yes.
So you both met your spouses in high school. What was your education after high school? Where did you go to college? What was the next step?
So this is Britt. I have my associate's degree in healthcare administration, and I'm like 5 or 6 classes from my bachelor's degree. But I've
Okay.
kind of put that on ice since real estate started about 6 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to be in the healthcare field just because it's something that was always there, but it wasn't like super flexible with my husband being gone all the time. He's in the Air Force.
Oh, okay.
So I decided to do something that I thought was flexible, but definitely is not as flexible as many think that it is.
Yeah.
So I would just strap my daughter, my youngest at the time was 2. So I would just strap her on me and she just went to listing appointments and showings and everything with me.
Yeah. That's cool. How about you, Gayla?
So my mom is a nurse and my sister's a doctor. So my family wanted me to get into the medical field, but I decided to go the opposite route. So I went to school for sports nutrition,
Okay.
and because I was in the fitness industry for so long, and then I decided, there's not a lot of money in this, and I'm gonna have to be working for like a lot to make such little money. And then when my husband got out of the active army, we were kind of like, holy crap, like we have no money. We started getting like the past due bills, the ones that everyone hates. And I was like, I'm running a gym and I'm making very little money. I need to figure this out. So I called my dad, who ever since I was like a teenager was like, you should be a real estate agent, or you should get into real estate. And I called him and I said, okay, I'm tired of being broke. I need to get into real estate before I lose my house. And my dad's like, I will pay for it. Like, let's do it. Like, I believe in you that much.
That's cool. He saw the negotiation skills from an early age.
Hell yeah. I still negotiate with them all the time. I'm like, how about you? They're like, we're going to visit you for like 3-4 days. I'm like, how about you stay here for 7 days and you clean my house?
Wow. That's hilarious. So you both I guess at least at one time were both military spouses. You had spouses in the military. Help, like, I think the whole military lifestyle is new to me, having only been out here from the Midwest for just about 2 years. But and obviously it's pretty intense around the Springs with all the bases. And can you paint a little bit of picture of what military life, family life looks like, just to kind of get a sense of like what does that even entail? And maybe it's different for both of you, but I'd just love to hear like how that played out for the two of you.
Yeah, of course. This is Gayla. So my husband was in for 10 years active Army. He deployed about 6 times, which was great. You know, it was just so easy and fun. No, it was definitely it was definitely a hard time. I grew up and lived in the same place my whole life, and then as soon as he joined the Army, I had to move to an island, which is landlocked, and try to build my own tribe and try to find people that had the same morals. And because it's, you know, the Army, it's so big, you meet people from everywhere. It's very difficult for young moms to find friends. I had to figure out, and again, I had a new baby as well. When we moved to the island, I had a 6-month-old. And so trying to figure out how to be a mom was hard. It was definitely interesting. And I always say, like, he missed a whole pregnancy. So he was gone during the end of my pregnancy with my first child. And then he came on with our second child. He came back from deployment at the end of the pregnancy. So he was lucky enough to miss all the wonderful moments of having a pregnant wife. But I would have to say, even though it is tough, and so if any young military spouses are out there listening, it's tough. And I understand you're just going to get through it, but just know there's other people out there, and there's so many resources to look into. It's actually, I think that has helped my business so much because we do work with military spouses. And I understand, like, I remember my husband being gone, us moving into our house, and him telling the movers the wrong address. So I'm watching my household goods, like, drive by my house, and I'm, like, waving at them, like, that's my stuff. And, like, so girls and guys, like, it gets better, and, like, it might be hard now. And I don't think they do deployments like they used to, thank God. But it does get better.
That's great. Thanks for sharing that. How about you, Britt?
Yeah, so mine is definitely a lot different. I grew up with one of my uncles in the Air Force, and I saw what it did to, like, my aunt and my uncle and my cousins. They were all over the place. We didn't really get to have a relationship with them. And my grandma passed away when we were really little. So my husband wanted to go active. I wouldn't let him go active. I'm like, you could either do that or you could, like, stay here and be with me. I just didn't want to leave my family. Because like I said, we're a really, really close knit family. I want my kids to be around, like, their grandparents and everything. And so my husband is active reserve. So he's been in about 10 years. He's almost been active the entire time. He's been on one deployment. He's changed his job like 3 times. So that's where he's been gone, like, all the time. He was a load master. So everywhere the C-130 went, he went with them. So and it's even hard with just, like, him being gone. And, like, I'm so blessed to have my family here. And it still sucks with him being gone, for long periods of time, but thankfully I have my family and my friends that I've had, like, my whole life. So that definitely has made it a lot easier for me.
She also has me. So
yes,
that's
I have Gayla.
Just kidding.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, your family.
Yeah. What about that term military wife, military spouse? Do you feel like that has a lot of misconceptions attached to that, as a way that people might perceive you in that role? Have you experienced that at all?
This is Britt. I definitely think there are different views on it. I know, so with Josh being in the Air Force, like it is a lot different than like the Army. So our lifestyle is a little bit different. I think us as military spouses, we have to put ourselves on the back burner a lot. And they don't get enough credit, basically, especially when, you move to a different state or country even, and you're by yourself, and, the guys, or, I mean, and women, they get all like the credit and everything. But at the end of the day, spouses are at home doing everything, to make sure that their spouse who is serving our country, it like can do that. I think some people have maybe not the best, like in the military world, as far as like spouses go, they don't, I think they have like their little stereotypes and stuff like that, but I think they are not given enough credit for everything that they do.
Yeah. Did you have something, Gayla?
No, I think she hit it on the head. I mean, of course, they always make fun of us military spouses within the military, because we're considered dependent. So they call us like dependopotamus, little funny things, which it is pretty funny. And we have like the stereotypical Army spouses like everyone else. But Brittany is right. Like, I don't think the spouses do get enough credit. Like, I knew as soon as my husband deployed, no matter how sad or upset I was, I had to suck it. Excuse my language, the F up. I was gonna say that, drop the F bomb, but I'll be professional. We had to suck it up and kind of still, like, life still goes on, even though these men and women that are fighting probably think the world stops over here. And I still had to take care of my son. I still had to go to my job every day, and then still catered, like, oh, he's calling me at 3:00 in the morning. I have to get on the phone, that kind of stuff. My husband went to the Iraqi war a few times. He was actually he was the last squad or unit that was there. They closed it down. And I remember just when they would have blackouts, and that's when all communication is shut down. And that was the scary part, because thankfully we had technology and they did have internet. But when everything was shut down, you knew something was happening.
Yeah.
So I think we all need to, like, really, again, give it up to these military spouses, because I remember that and just my heart sinking. Like, am I going to get that call? And I've actually been in my neighbor, and it's so crazy. I went outside to go play with my son, and I saw that. I saw the chaplain and a few other people in their uniforms come to her door.
Wow.
And seeing her fall to the ground, and me like just running over there. Her husband was in a helicopter crash. Didn't make it. And I think, like, she was a young mom, and now she has to live her whole life with that, like, and it's just crazy. It's a crazy lifestyle. It's not for everyone, but I don't know, if you're in this lifestyle, like I said, it gets better. Like Brittany says, she didn't want her husband to leave. And of course, no one wants their husband to leave, but she had family. Like, a lot of us don't have that. So we had, again, to create our own tribe. So Brittany is my family here in Colorado Springs, because my family's not here.
Right. Yeah. Well, thanks so much for sharing that. Like I said, it's a new group of people as far as what you all experience and the weight that you carry. And there's other spouses whose husband or wife travels a lot, but as you just articulated, the weight of not knowing sort of what's going on and the timing of stuff and all those things, like, that's always playing in the back of your mind, I'm sure, in addition to all the other things that you're having to keep on track. So thanks for sharing that story. I think it's been like, it really just hit me, especially during Women History Month, of just not to say that only military spouses are women, for sure, but I think that was just something that I became very sensitive to since moving out here and understanding more about the journey that you both face, for sure. Are there any lessons from that time period that
you think have been from that time when you were kind of heavy with the travel with your spouse and you're still are today, Britt, but like that have carried into your business and created who you are as a businesswoman?
So this is Gayla. Yes, absolutely. So we actually bought our house sight unseen. So we never saw the inside of it. We just saw the outside and a few pictures. We're like, great, let's buy it. While we were in Hawaii, waiting to what they call PCS to Colorado Springs.
Okay.
And so I had to trust my realtor 150% to know that she wasn't going to just put us into a crappy house. And I think that has helped me learn how I want, like the communication is number one for me, especially for my buyers that are buying out of state. 90% of my business, well, 95% of my business is military. And then 90%, they're not even here until the day of closing or after closing. So it's helped me kind of understand the process more and why it's important for us to, like, when I walk in, I do video tours. I tell them the smells, if there's cracks in the walls, go around the neighborhood. It's kind of taught me how I didn't get that. So I'm honored to be able to do that for someone else.
Yeah.
Just to give them a little ease of mind, because they have, when military spouses are PCSing, it's a hurry up and wait type of situation. They're not the Army. I don't know about the Air Force, but the Army's not talking to the spouse. They're talking to the soldier. And so I had to really depend on my husband to get all this stuff taken care of. And no offense to my husband or military guys, they're not the best at communicating the details. And
or civilian guys too, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I said, I was chasing my household goods because my husband gave him the wrong address. So, I mean, I don't know. It's definitely a crazy lifestyle. And I hope that with my experience with PCSing, that I can give a little bit of hope and less chaos to the process.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about your own individual journeys. How did you two come together? How did you two meet?
So we were on the same team. So we joined a real estate team. I was there for about 6 months prior to Britt. It was a great team, top team. And then we kind of the real story is actually kind of funny, and I don't think Brittany's going to let me share it. But basically, we became friends. Brittany, do you want to share that story? I don't know how professional you wanted this to be.
No, we're going to be professional.
Okay. So basically in a meeting, I just was like, hey, let's be friends. Like, I have no friends. Let's be friends. And she was like, okay. It was basically like that. We then decided, okay, well, we want to have fun in real estate. And we want people to know that it's super easy to buy a house. It's not scary. There's tons of programs. And we decided, okay, for a New Year's resolution, let's make vlogs. No, like, it wasn't even called vlogs then. They were just, they were just videos. And so, and again, this was like 5 years ago.
Okay.
So not a lot of people did vlogs. And if you watch our first video, it's terrible. Like, you see upside our nostrils. We are saying, we don't know what the hell we're doing.
Yeah.
And we decided, okay, we're going to do this for a whole year. Like, no matter what, we're going to do this. We're going to have fun with it. We'll have terrible edits. Like, who cares? And that's what we did. And we were noticing that with these like 3 to 5 minute videos, we were getting like 2,000 views for free. And we're like, oh, people are watching us. And we kind of were like, maybe we can do this by ourselves, because we were still on the team at the time.
Okay.
We were realtor mommies, but then because of trademarking, you can't be called a realtor mommy. So then that's when we changed it to property mommies. And we became pretty popular for our advertising and like the way that we did our videos, even though, again, they are terrible. So if you ever want to go watch them because you need a good laugh, you're feeling depressed for the day, go watch them.
Yes.
The original videos, not anymore. You're saying
Not
you
anymore.
guys are perfect at it now, right?
Trying.
I mean, we're getting there.
Yeah. And so is that sort of that's how Property Mommies came together. It was sort of that whole vision, and then it just became a dream into a reality.
Yeah, I think, and excuse me, and a lot of people were kind of doubting us, like, oh, Property Mommies, how cute, kind of being condescending. And like, oh, you'll never have guys want to come work for you or want guys to come like be your clients. And actually our first client was a male. He was a soldier. His wife told them like, hey, will you call these girls? Let's buy a house with these girls.
Yeah, jeez.
And then we were like, booyah, there was no stopping us from there.
Okay, Joe, I know it's been a while, so work with me here, but do you remember getting grades in school?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think it was like on slate chalkboards that we would always carry around as we walked our 10-mile hike from our house to the one-room schoolhouse and through the valleys and through the woods and across the creek.
Oh, the crick. Good grief, you've aged yourself.
For sure. Why? Why are you going to ask? Are you just going to rub in how great your grades were and how much better you were than I was in school?
That is very tempting. It really is. But not this time. I just thought, we kind of thought those days were long over until we actually started handing out grades to our clients with our score sheet marketing assessment, which is essentially just an overall grade of their current marketing efforts.
Yeah, I think it was probably just some sort of like I wanted to finally pay back the teachers in my life who always gave me grades, and now I get a chance to finally give somebody else a grade. So
that's right.
Yeah, that was part of the reason behind it for sure.
Sit in that seat of power finally.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so in this assessment, we check 5 pieces of your marketing strategy: your brand, content, SEO, social media, and photography, and just give you a final score out of 100 points to kind of see how well you're doing in sharing your story to prospective customers who don't know anything about you.
And unlike a lot of experiences that I had in school, we don't just pat you on the back and wish you the best. We do try to give you some good, solid takeaways. We tell you not only your strengths, the things you're doing great at, but we also give you some great next steps to pursue in telling your business story, kind of the low-hanging fruit you can start tackling today.
Yeah, we really want to just give you some things to help you very quickly start standing out amongst your competition. So if you're a business owner and are interested in some feedback on the strength of your story and your marketing efforts and just kind of how well you stand out from your competition, we would love for you to visit keyholemarketing.us/marketing-scorecard today and sign up. And we would love to give you a grade.
I'm always curious. I just love the way business names come together. What was your intentionality about calling it Mommies? There's obviously can have positive, negative connotations related to that as far as somebody choosing an agent. So what was your intentionality and thought process behind that?
Well, we were moms.
Gotcha. I figured
obviously.
that part. Yeah.
Mommies always know best. Like we always say to our kids, I know Britt says it to her kids. I say to mine, like, whether you think I'm watching or not, like I'm always watching. Like I have eyes in the back of my head. I know what's best for you. I'm going to work and mommies most of the time want the best for their children. And so that was a huge thing for us is like, we are moms number one, but we're going to make this business work for us. As moms, as working moms.
Yeah. Yeah. Brittany, did you have something to add to that?
Well, I think in any industry, like just like nowadays, like working moms, it's obviously getting more popular for moms to work. Like when I first started, my mom and my husband's mom were like, what are you doing? Like, you need to stay home with the girls. Like, they need you to be at home. And like, they were so uneasy about like me working like outside of the home. And so I think just like showing like we are moms, we're proud to be moms.
Yeah.
And our families do come first, but we're also going to provide you the same treatment that we're going to treat our kids and our family. Like we have your best interest at heart. Because I know a lot of moms, and maybe not so much in the real estate industry, but in some industries will kind of like hide that they're moms. So just getting that out there that we are moms, we're proud to be moms. And like I always tell my kids, moms know everything. So I think just the mommy thing definitely was just like who we were.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Thanks for sharing that because that was my upbringing too. I never knew my mom not to work. My wife has worked since the day we got married, right out of college, and so it never was odd to me to see that. And I don't know. I'm it's cool how you have embraced that from the sense of ownership over what you're able to do. Yeah, I was just listening to a podcast on it was a Dax Shepard podcast. If you listen to that, it's Armchair Expert, and he was interviewing Amy Poehler. And it's just an interesting story of sort of the criticism that women face in certain roles when many other people wouldn't even need to have a conversation about it. Like you're a mother who works. Well, I'm a father who works. I don't hear anything about that. Sort of that imbalance of criticism and evaluation over the things you do. So
I think with that, and also it makes us as women, and I don't, again, my husband, he never got slack for being gone. Like he was gone for 6 years just on deployments, not including trainings. And of course he felt bad, but my parents kind of did the same thing. Like, oh, well, what's going to happen with the kids? Or, that extra mom guilt. Like, I don't think fathers, and I don't know, I'm not a dad, they don't have that guilt because they're made to believe that they have to go and they have to work and that's just the way it is. Where moms are made to believe that the kids, which they are the number one priority, but obviously, especially nowadays, it takes two to run a household. And having that mom guilt, and I still have that mom guilt. My oldest is 13 years old. And I'm still having that mom guilt of like, oh my gosh, over the last 5 years, did I spend enough time with him? Did I spend enough time with my youngest son? I only have so many summers left with them. Like, what do I need to do? We don't talk about that anymore. It's like that mom guilt is real, and that can even spiral you into. I remember spiraling into depression because I'm like, am I doing this right? And then trying to wear all the hats and trying to figure out, okay, I just saw a post. It was like a memory on Facebook the other day. And it was me being like, oh my gosh, I must be a bad mother. My children had macaroni and cheese, like Kraft macaroni and cheese yesterday. We had pizza the night before. Now I'm feeding them McDonald's. Like, what is going on with me? Like, how do people do this? And this was like a post from like 4 or 5 years ago. And I'm like, holy crap, I still have those thoughts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's interesting too. I feel like some of those, at least I can speak to our family. I feel like some of those lines are blurred since I work out of the house. I walk Quinn, our 7-year-old, to school in the mornings. She picks him up. He's right down the street, and those thoughts hit me all the time of just like how many more times is he going to want me to walk him to school? Is next year the last year? Is not going to be cool anymore? Sort of those things of like how many more moments do I have left? And I think like that's definitely resonates with me. But I also would agree with you. Like my dad, maybe that was on my dad's mind, but he never indicated that. He never showcased that. And so I think like it is things have changed quite a bit since our parents were raising us. And I just know like, at least within our family structure, it's much more balanced. We both work. We both balance the schedule. We take him to this thing, do this, that thing there. Whereas it's a little bit different growing up.
Yeah.
Do you think that also, one of your last question on the name of your business, do you feel like that helps differentiate you as well from the competition? Was that a part of the decision making as well as of finding that name to help distinguish you from others?
I think so. I think it's very kind of like tongue in cheek. I don't know if that's the right word. Like it's people will remember it. Like I will be somewhere and they'll see my name on my card, and they're like, "Oh, you're a property mommy," and I'm like,
Mm.
"Yes, I am." You know, like
Yeah.
that. It definitely helps because there's the last name team or
Yeah.
whatever, and we actually see people now copying us
Mm-hmm.
and like just trying to put their own little spin on it, and we're like, it's been done, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. No, I love that. I love that. You're right. I mean, there's everybody does tend to look the same, especially if you're new to the area. It's just another name. You have no history with that person. So something to be catchy to remember it on your drive home from when you drove past a sign and now you want to go check it out when you get home. Like I think that's definitely great. That was a great decision.
Right. And then we also have, so for their military families, we have PCSing with Property Mommies.
Mm.
We have Sell with Property Mommies. Like we really have made sure that we are like propertymommies.com. Every interview or every video that we do, we say the exact same thing of, hey, this is Gayla Bustos with Property Mommies at propertymommies.com. You know,
Yeah.
like, so, and then people are like, oh yeah, Property Mommies, Property Mommies. I get it.
Yeah.
More intentional.
Yeah, exactly. One more question just related to mommies, to women. Yeah, again, we're in Women History Month. Are there other women who have inspired you professionally, whether in this industry, uh, just personally as a whole? Who would you label as that?
Do you want to go first, Britt?
Yeah, so one woman in my life that has really definitely like motivated me is my Aunt Julie. She's a single lady. She has had a couple rough marriages. And she's just trucked through them. She's one of the strongest ladies I know. She went back to school. I think she was almost 40. She went back to school to be an endodontist.
Oh, yeah.
And now she's an endodontist here. I think she was just nominated as the best female endodontist in Colorado. But just like seeing everything that she had gone through and so one of my biggest things with my kids is like, I obviously love my husband with all of my heart. I can't imagine my life without him. However, like my biggest thing with my daughters is to just show them that they don't need to be with a man because they have to be, like they should be with him because they want to be. And like, you can be independent and strong and still have a really good marriage. So just seeing my aunt like go through that was like throughout her time. And then, and she even didn't go to school until she was like almost 40 and she's so successful and she's so strong. So she definitely put some fire under me with that.
That's awesome. Did you say her name is Julie?
Yes.
Does she work at Endodontics Specialist of Colorado?
Yes, yeah, she does.
They're a new client of mine, so I just
awesome.
I didn't even know that term like 2 months ago, and now I keep hearing it over and over.
How funny!
Funny you said that. Sorry, go ahead, Gayla. Did you have anything else?
Oh, I would probably say my sister. She is the smartest person I know. And she's also the most like caring. She was a teen mom. She got pregnant her senior year of high school, still graduated, still went to medical school, still kills it. She has kind of taught me in a lot of ways patience and love. She's taught me, I feel like she's taught me how to be a better mom. Wow. In so many ways. Like she was the first one. Because I have boys, it's a little different. Like, obviously, I teach them to be independent because I'm like, oh, that's what boys are supposed to be. But she's also taught me, like, listen, your work at home is still important. Like, you still have other things to teach them, like how to treat a woman. And not only that, but how a woman should treat them, which was huge to me because this was, with my husband being gone, we always have to rebuild our marriage, like rebuild our relationship, rebuild this because they're gone for so long. Yeah. And I remember we were fighting a stupid fight. And then my sister's like, would you ever want a girl to to talk to your boys the way that you talk to your husband sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, because I'm a fighting type of girl, I was like, oh, hell no, I will beat that little girl's butt. Like, I will. And my sister's like, okay, so you have to teach them how to respect women, but also how to be respected by women as well. I think that has, I mean, again, my oldest son is 13. That has stayed with me. Like, I try my best. Obviously I'm not perfect and I don't do it, but like speak down to my husband because again, I don't want no girl because I'll fight her to speak down to my boys. And I tell Brittany about her daughters. I'm like, listen, if your daughter ever marries my son, she better speak to him with respect because she'll have to deal with me one day when if they ever get married. So I think definitely my sister, and she's like the funniest woman you will ever meet. So definitely someone I definitely look up to is her. And we're 6 years apart, so it's like it's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, for sure. One more question, just related to the business. We'll close up with a few more questions on kind of where things are headed. I feel like I can't have this conversation without getting your input on TikTok. That's clearly what first got me connected to you two. Just I think somewhere we found each other on Instagram and you were doing TikTok videos, and it was definitely, as you said earlier, sort of gave me something to laugh at in the middle of the day for sure. In a good way. Tell me kind of how that came about. Like, why did you was that just sort of a continuation of your vlog idea and just trying to take it to a new platform, and what kind of results, or tell me why I should get on there today, I guess, and start my own account. Give me your own sales pitch.
Well, first of all, if you watch TikToks, I mean, every TikTok is different, obviously, but there's some really funny ones. And this is Gayla, I'm all about laughter. And if we can make someone laugh and change their mindset of the day, then we've done our job. We decided to do TikTok as another outlet to be funny and to show our personality. Sometimes with Instagram or Facebook, you have to be a little bit more professional. And you probably saw the TikTok where we were talking about how high are you? We live in Colorado, and then we're like, hi, how are you? And that's our personality. Like we're funny. Like we want all of our clients to have a great time during the most stressful time. If we can make you laugh during the most stressful time of your life, we've done our job. And you need to get on TikTok, and you can, my son and I will, right before bed, we will lay down and we'll watch like animals of TikTok or, whatever. And they're the funniest, 30 seconds to a minute, videos.
Yeah.
It's just Vine, just hilarious. And I think that was important for us to be able to show our personalities versus Facebook when you can't really post that much because you'll get flagged. I mean, we've been flagged for so many things. We were flagged. I think I did an ad and I put, you'll like the way the space work, no diggity. We got the house to back it up, and people flagged us. And while I can do that on TikTok, and people are going to laugh at that and understand it. Or sicker than your average realtor. And people are like, oh, flag it. TikTok, people love it.
Or anus, as you did the other day.
Yes. Sorry, Brittany. Brittany was a little upset that I posted that. No, I was like, Brittany, but this is us. This is what makes us who we are. We are professional, but we're not those realtors with the stick up our butts. I'm not driving a Mercedes or a Range Rover, and it's okay if you do. To my showing, I'm showing up in my lifted white 4Runner, listening to hip hop and coming in and being like, yo, yo, yo,
Well, it definitely sets the stage of what you're going to get, and if that doesn't align with you, cool. There's plenty of other options out there as well, but I think you definitely are creating a great expectation of what it'll be like working with you. And,
Right.
even what we've talked about today, there isn't like, wow, that's, you guys are crazy on TikTok and now you're so boring on this podcast. No, it's a continuation of what you've presented there and who you are today. It's just the real life deal. And like I said to you on Instagram or somewhere, that I definitely would wish we would have found you when we first moved out here, because we didn't know anybody, and you get a reference from somebody and you're just like, cool, I guess you'll do the job. And it was fine, but certainly didn't make the experience enjoyable. It was just more bearable.
Right. And
So
how sucky is that? Like, this is such a joyous moment.
yeah,
Like, you're adulting so hard when you're buying a house. And like, when you don't have that experience, it's sad to me because, again, like, growing up, owning a house means you made it.
yeah,
And like, that still has stuck with me. And it's like, why would I not? We're going to pop bottles at closing.
nice.
We're going to, if you need a twerk in this house before we write an offer for good luck, we're going to twerk. We're going to do what we can.
Yeah.
And that's just the way we are. And I think also other agents that work with us, they see that and they also want to work with us. So they accept our
Yeah.
offers in this crazy market because they're like, they're going to get it done. They're not going to be a-holes. And we're going to have a good time for my sellers as well.
Exactly. We have fortunately had, this was like our fourth house we had bought, so we knew enough of the process. But the challenge was, like, I was asking the questions that the agent should have been asking. I was the one curious about this only because we had ups and down experiences in the past. But had I not, that's what you're hoping to find, right? That representative who can be ahead of the game and asking those questions on your behalf. And I feel like I was doing all the work. I should have got a half percentage of that sale for sure. It's been a crazy year. I mean, last year for everybody, and in a lot of ways, housing market specifically. Is that, how would you describe 2020 from your perspective in your industry?
So this is Britt. So last year was one of my best years. Surprisingly, the market was insane. Interest rates were so low
Yeah.
that we were even, I mean, we're doing showings virtually and selling houses virtually. So surprisingly, the market didn't slow down like as I even expected it to. And
Yeah.
it's definitely continued that fast pace. Inventory is still super low and interest rates are still really low.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we've already refinanced twice in this house
Yeah.
because they dropped so much, and we've only been here 2 years.
I know.
But we just couldn't not take advantage of it. And you just recently shared just some big news. You're moving away from Keller Williams to Springs Home Finders. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. So we were actually with Keller Williams for almost 6 years. It's a great company. We would never say anything wrong about it. We just felt kind of stuck. We kind of felt like we were just surviving. Not, I shouldn't say surviving. Everyone just survived last year, but we were complacent, and we're like, how do we take our business to the next level? Well, surprisingly, we found. Am I allowed to cuss?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Sure.
Okay. So we found a bomb ass bitch who lined up with us. Like, she wants to have fun. She takes care of her clients beyond the sale. She saw our vision, and she's just like, I just opened up this brokerage. If you guys are welcome to come. And we were like, that's who we need to do business with. And so blessed that she was there at the time that we needed her. We went through a few things with Keller Williams, and they kind of disappointed us in some aspects where they didn't have our back, or they kind of just, felt like we were just a number to them. And no offense, we looked at our numbers and we looked at other people's numbers, and we're bomb ass bitches as well. Like, we, and it has taken me like, what, 3-4 years, Brittany, to kind of really say that, because I didn't even believe that. Like, Britt was the one that's like, no, these are our numbers, and this, like, look how crazy this is, look how good we're doing. And I'm like, are you sure that's good? And she's like, yes. And so now I'm like, I see it now. Like, why didn't we see this before? And Keller Williams is great. New agents, great classes, all that. And we loved our office, but we knew it was time to change. And sometimes That's all you need, is that little bit of changing the office. And now I feel like we've even gone even bigger than what we were at. And we just announced it like a few weeks ago or last week.
Yeah. Yeah. So how does that translate to home buyers and home sellers? What are some things they can maybe expect with the change or look forward to?
I would say like 9 out of 10 of our clients, like like if you asked them who we worked for, they would say Property Mommies. So
Right.
I mean, Keller Williams, and the difference between them, I mean, there's not going to be any difference. They're still going to get the best service possible. The Springs Home Finders, she has the same vision as us on keeping that relationship after closing, like having a friendship and, being friends for years to come versus just, closing the deal and then you say see you later until they want to sell.
Yeah.
We definitely take our business more serious than that, where we are friends with our clients, we hang out with our clients, we babysit, we have client events so we can see our clients like a few times throughout the year, so we don't just like close the door with them when we sell them a house or sell their home. We love building that relationship with them.
Mm-hmm.
I think our business is like 96% referral based, either past clients or referrals.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it was maybe 2 years ago, we kind of, in the beginning, we had all these huge goals that we wanted to sell hundreds and hundreds of houses. And we kind of took a step back and we're like, but wait, like, are we giving our clients what they deserve if we're doing like all these deals at the same time?
Right.
So we took a step back and we're like, we're going to focus on quality versus quantity. So we're going to give our clients, all of them, the best experience possible throughout the whole transaction, because we didn't want to have a ton of transactions and not have happy clients.
Yeah. So that translates in referrals and longer term business relationships.
Yeah. Well, and even last year, because obviously last year was a cluster.
Yeah.
Whatever. And obviously I'm married to a military guy, guys, or an army guy. He cusses a lot, so I'm sorry.
No worries.
But we still figured out a way to keep that connection. We had portrait pop-bys or portraits where basically we hired a photographer. We went to every single one of our clients' house. They all took family pictures in front of the house that they bought with us, and then we sent it to them. So we could still be on the sidewalk, be like, hey, beautiful baby bump. Like, like I just threw a baby shower for a client. Like, that's the kind of stuff you're going to get. And I think with Jennifer, she gets that, and she's like, hell yes, do that times 10. Let me show you how.
That's awesome. Just two more questions. You've been in business for what, 6, 7 years?
Almost 6.
Okay. What are some two other, maybe not in that particular space, real estate space, but just even young entrepreneurs, people who are starting businesses, what are some pieces of advice you would offer them based on experiences you've had personally?
Be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
I would also say be authentic to yourself, but always know that you have room to grow. That's been a huge thing for us, is we also wanted to grow in our personal lives. We want our agents to grow in their personal lives. We don't want people to be stuck. Do you have any, Britt? Consistency, being authentic.
Definitely be true to yourself. I think in this day and age with like social media and things, like everybody thinks they have to be a certain way, but like, it's the best to be yourself.
Like we got, sorry to cut you off. People liked us because we let them know that we are hot messes. Like we are like, hey, we're not perfect, but we're going to have a good time. We might not eat all day, but you're going to still get the best quality of service. So, I always tell my clients that are following me from, like in their cars, I'm like, stay back. You can follow me, but stay as far back as you can, because I'm a terrible driver. Like we put that all out there.
Yeah. How do you, I hadn't thought about this question until you just said that. How do you though, I mean, that is the experience that I've had with working with agents in the houses we've bought. I mean, they're just constantly on the clock. I've tried to be respectful of their hours, but there's just, an email has to go out, something has to be dealt with. how do you manage that? Keep your own sanity, keep in check with your kids' lives, your husband's, all of those things. How would you grade yourself? Are you doing a pretty good job with keeping like a work-life balance? Is that even possible in your world? How would you describe that?
It's not possible. But I feel like I have told Britt, probably like in the last few months, like this is the first time I've actually felt like I've had a great work-life balance. I tell all my clients, if you have a question, call me, email me, text me anytime. I don't care if it's 4 a.m. I don't care if it's 4 p.m. I will get to it when I get to it. Like I might not, obviously I'm not going to reply back at 4 a.m. because I'm sleeping. Right. But when I wake up, I'm going to make sure I wake up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m. when you're asleep, and I'm going to text you back. And they all laugh at that. But I tell them, like, I promise you, if I don't get to you, I'm not ignoring you. I'm going to get to you next. Like, yeah. But I want to make sure that you don't forget your question. So make sure you get it to me. Don't be afraid to text me or email me, or call me. Obviously, don't call me at 4 a.m. I definitely won't be answering that. But yeah. I think having that conversation with them, like, or even if I'm going to be in Denver for my son's football game, I'm like, hey, I'm going to be in Denver. You can still text me. But if it's anything urgent, I'm going to send you to Britt. Yeah. And Britt's there that's what's the great thing about being in a partnership. If I can't do something right then and there, Brittany will. If Brittany has ballet class with her daughters, I'm stepping in and making sure all her clients don't miss any houses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just that partnership, balancing, helping each other stay in check.
Yes.
Last question. What do you love most about working in the Colorado Springs area, serving families, serving people, getting to know the neighborhoods, all those types of things?
So this is Britt. So with me being a native, I definitely am super knowledgeable about all of the areas. It's been fun seeing maybe some areas that weren't like the best places when I was growing up, like seeing them change into like first time home buyer neighborhoods or like, like military family neighborhoods. I love that we get to work with a lot of military families. I also do a ton of first time home buyers. Just with me growing up here, I get to work with a lot of people I went to high school with, my sisters went to high school with. Nice. So it's fun seeing people that I've known since I was like, 6 or 7, and they're like buying a home, and I get to see their families grow. And, right now I'm selling one of my friends from 7th grade. I'm selling her dream home right now. And she's doing it all by herself. She's single, 30-year-old with an 8-year-old son. And it's so fun just seeing that, like, my friends grow. And accomplishing, like, buying their dream home when they're only 30 years old. Like, it's really fun.
Yeah. Well, that's really cool. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for sharing your story. And I just loved hearing how you guys came together, what you guys are doing here in the area. So I just appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Thank you so much.
You've been listening to the Metaphorically Speaking podcast. At Keyhole Marketing, we tell big stories for small businesses. If you're in the Colorado Springs area and ready to tell your business story, we'd love to come alongside you and help you with your content, branding, SEO, social media, or photography needs. For an instant glimpse at your current marketing's strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities, take our free marketing assessment at keyholemarketing.us/marketing-assessment, or send us an email at hi@keyholemarketing.us and let us know how we can help tell your story.